It's about landing the right player in the transfer portal. It doesn't mean you have to get the flashiest one. It doesn't mean you have to get the most proven one. What this means is you got to get the right player to fit your system. And whoever lands Kansas State's Will Howard is getting a quarterback that probably can take you to a conference championship, if not deep into the college football playoff. So where does the former Wildcat land in 2024? Let's talk about it. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me where you want to see Will Howard strap it up in 2024. Thank you to all of our brand new subscribers who have joined the channel, but we're on the race to 1,000. Then 10,000, then 25,000, and 100,000, and we will get there. So why don't you jump on in while the water's fine? Continue to tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, your entire fraternity, your workout buddies, anybody that really loves college football about this channel. Make sure you give me a follow on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. You can go ahead and follow me right here. It's the exact same as my YouTube handle. So hit subscribe on both, and let's continue to talk college football. Will Howard was not going to be the starting quarterback in 2024 for Kansas State. And I think that was pretty evident when you watched Avery Johnson and his mobility become a massive factor in Manhattan. And now that they lost offensive coordinator Colin Klein, it makes a lot of sense that Howard wants a fresh start. But don't get it twisted. Howard is a damn good quarterback, and Howard actually is probably the sole reason why Kansas State was able to march into Arlington and beat an undefeated TCU team. The kid was prosperous. And last season, he had some very good games for the Wildcats. You know, you go back and you look at the Texas game, the Wildcats aren't going to overtime, and they're not nearly a play away from winning the damn thing without Will Howard. So Howard's a guy that as soon as he makes his home known, a team is getting someone very lucky, and he can do a little bit of everything. He's mobile, he's physical, he's got the size too. I mean, you're talking about a quarterback that stands roughly 6'4", 6'5", 245 pounds. He's mobile enough to move outside the pocket. A little bit Jalen Hurts in his game. So I think that anybody that gets Will Howard and allows him to do what he does best, utilization of his feet, and extend plays by throwing it across the intermediate part of the field, you're getting a superstar. Now, who are some schools that can actually land Will Howard? For starters, I think Notre Dame is probably a secondary option. And that's not an insult to Howard. What this is they want to get Riley Leonard. And if Leonard does commit from Duke to South Bend, Indiana, they don't need another quarterback. But this is a pro-style offense. This is an offense that is catered to veteran quarterbacks to elevate their style of play and allow them to prosper and thrive. Sam Hartman at least will be draftable this year, and it's because of what he learned underneath Marcus Freeman and underneath this offensive play design. I think it would make a lot of sense to go get a veteran quarterback that has a little bit more utilization of his legs, but also can hit the intermediate part of the field. They're going to be aggressive in adding in wide receivers this offseason. You probably want to go ahead and target a guy like Will Howard to at least be in the running for the Fighting Irish. They want to be players in 2024. They're not sitting idly and saying, we're going to go ahead and implement a young quarterback and then prosper. Nope. They want one more year of being in that college football playoff pushes, but especially with 12 teams. Howard joins the mix. Howard is probably going to thrive. Another team to watch for, NC State. NC State needs a quarterback now that MJ Morris is in the transfer portal, and also you lose Brennan Armstrong to the NFL draft because of eligibility. Robert and I's spread style offense, I think, would really cater to someone like Howard because it allows you to utilize the intermediate part of the field in terms of passing, but he's not telling you don't be an improvisationalist with your legs. Go ahead and be effective on the ground. If you see a running lane, take it and prosper. And especially when you're in the red zone. This was a guy that scored 9 touchdowns last year as a runner, and he threw for over 24. So you add that into the mix, you're getting a guy who can probably be someone that can make you at least viable for a spot in the ACC title game. And if you win the ACC, automatically you're in the playoff. They need a quarterback. Dave Duran has always been kind of like that middle tier coach in the ACC. Good enough to get you 9 wins, not good enough to get you to 10 wins during the regular season. But you get a quarterback like Will Howard in the mix, you're probably in a pretty decent spot. Next up, Wisconsin. Wisconsin does have 2 young quarterbacks on their roster, and Tanner Mordecai is, 27 years old, so he's got to have AARP at this point. I get it. He's not really, but not the point. The point is that, again, you look at the new era of the Big Ten. This is a very pivotal year for a lot of programs that want to be players alongside USC. alongside UCLA, alongside Ohio State and Penn State. And you can even throw in Iowa for that instance, because they're always going to have Phil Parker. And as long as Phil Parker's there, that defense is going to be sound. Please, Kirk Ferentz, hire an offensive mind. Somebody, literally anybody other than your son, please hire, because this is a team that deserves a spot to play for a national title, especially with what you have with Phil Parker every year, funneling out defenses that are so perfect. So if you add in a guy like Will Howard to Wisconsin, that might knock Iowa out and put Wisconsin in. They are prescient on fixing this offense. Phil Longo, very much a pro-style offensive guy. He was able to go ahead and get the best version out of Drake May last year. And then you look at what he did this past season, really had some struggles with the quarterback spot. Wisconsin's a team that paid a lot of money to go get Luke Fickell. They want to go ahead and force their way into the conversation of being a dark horse in the Big Ten. I think Will Howard makes a ton of sense. 1 year rental, see what he's got, and then it gives you a little bit more time to work in your quarterbacks, young guys who, when their moment has arisen, they understand the offense, they understand the system, they're ready to start in a pinch. Felt like this year they didn't have that. One more team to monitor. It's a team that I think makes a lot of sense on paper. It has to fit with the brand, but this is where it comes down to. Sometimes you don't need to worry about the brand, you need to worry about the player. USC. USC needs to get a quarterback that can throw the football across the middle of the field and still be effective with his legs. One of the best things that you had when you were with Lincoln Riley is a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who wasn't afraid to run the football and he wasn't afraid to go deep. You had Kyler Murray, big improvisationalist, and also a player that was more than happy to sling it 45 yards down the field, find one of his top targets, and make it look easy. You watch as a team such as Caleb Williams this past year. His ability to keep drives alive, momentum at an all-time high, and the reason he won the Heisman Trophy last year was because of his utilization of his legs, built that rapport with the receiving core, didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver, didn't matter. He just spread it all around, and that's exactly what you get with Will Howard. So Howard can look at the situation and say, I go to USC, I know I'm going to have to score a lot of points because the defense still is cardboard crap, and I can go and eventually bolster my status. Look at every quarterback who has played underneath Lincoln Riley. They've gotten better because of it. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. 4 of them were Heisman finalists. 3 of them won the damn award. And I'm not saying Howard can win the award, but he can show the world, hey, I'm ready to make it in the NFL. I'm pretty damn good. In fact, I think you want me on your roster. I just learned underneath Lincoln Riley. Look at the quarterbacks ahead of me, what they've done in the league. How about you go ahead and give me a shot? And maybe that's enough to go ahead and fortify the status of the Trojans, especially in a new era of the Big Ten. It makes a lot of sense. It does. And this is a quarterback that I think really would thrive underneath Riley, and Riley would love to have him. Sometimes it's better to go for the outside name, a name that you don't really know that much about and doesn't really fit the culture or the branding, and it benefits. Joe Burrow is the perfect example. Nobody knew that Joe Burrow was going to be a fine quarterback down in Baton Rouge. Everyone heard of him as the Ohio State kid that lost out to Dwayne Haskins. And he had a better career than Dwayne Haskins in college, and he led his team to a national title, and he won a Heisman, and he pointed at his finger saying, listen, it's not just a ring that's going on there. It's a number 1 logo. I am the best quarterback in college football. And nobody cared anymore that he was from Ohio. Nobody cared anymore that he was from the Midwest and he didn't base his brand off of Cajun food and listening to jazz. Everyone wanted just a quarterback that knew how to build your brand. The same thing goes for Jaden Daniels, who's probably going to win the Heisman on Saturday. You get the right quarterback in the building, a lot of your job becomes easy. And Will Howard down in Los Angeles would make a ton of sense. The Trojans need to get a veteran to set the dialect in the Big Ten next season. So those are the 4 teams that I'd be monitoring right now. One more. My apologies. Nebraska. Let's talk about them real fast. Nebraska ranked 128th in passing this year. They certainly could use a quarterback. Jeff Sims wasn't the answer. Casey Thompson said see ya before the season began. I don't think Chuba Purdy is going to definitely get it done. Sorry, you're not your brother Brock. But Will Howard might. And if Will Howard does get the job done, then Nebraska is also going to be a player. So those are the 5 teams that I would monitor. Number 1 being Miami. Number 2 being NC State. Number 3 being Wisconsin. Number 4 being USC. And number 5 being Nebraska. Ultimately, whoever lands this kid is going to be a forceful name to monitor when it comes to the 2024 season. Thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.